Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Good morning, everybody here in the Avos Shalom Shul, everybody that is with us in Torah Anytime or the YouTube channel. This Shiur is Le'ilu Nishmas from Matiseo Solomon. I only knew there was Nifta this morning. Very, very sad news. Yeah, Gadol B'Yisrael was Niftar. So what we can do is be mischazik and learning Torah. And this is actually the topic of today's daf. Amud is the importance of learning Torah. That as of itself is the best thing we can do to elevate his neshama and continue his way. Amr B'Shua ben Levi. Okay, let's go straight into the business. The line starts with the word b'neichem, b'neichem. It says b'neichem twice, so that's an easy way to understand. It's about more or less 10 lines from the bottom of the narrow lines. Yeah, if you go from the bottom narrow line, you'll be about 10 or so lines from there. B'neichem, 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 b'neichem. Amar B'Shua ben Levi, I have some debts for you guys. Let's not start. We want to start Amar B'Shua ben Levi? No, I can't. Two things I said I'm going to find out, and Baruch Hashem I did. Issue number one, and that is, what is the story regarding getting married first or learning Torah first? Yeah, the person is in the teens, let's say. He's, let's say, 16, 17. Today is not accepted to get married, but he wants to get married. Or maybe should go to yeshiva at the age of 16 to get a few, at least 5 years you need to learn Torah, at least. So really, halacha says, lechatchila, learn Torah first, and then get married. Yeah, that's what we say. First, yeah, learn Torah, then get married. Now, what happens if the person sees the Yetzer Hara, although in spite of learning Torah, his Yetzer Hara is still unsettled, and he feels he has Yetzer Hara issues, then he should marry a wife and then learn Torah afterwards. That's what the Shulchan Aruch says. Having said that, obviously, this is Shulchan Aruch based on what we saw before. We already saw that makes a big difference whether the person will be or won't be able to sit to learn after the chasana. Does he have a wife who's going to support him? Today in Shidduchim, they ask about girls. What's her profession? How much money can she bring? Yeah, and that is because they want to help the husbands in learning. That's a big sachar for the wife, and that is also part of the equation. But conceptually, Torah comes first, unless there's Yetzer Hara involved. Second question. What is the maskana regarding how far do you have to teach your son or pay tuition for your son studying? Yeah, do you have to make sure he knows Chumash, or do you have to pay for further higher studies, so to speak, of Mishnah, Gemara, Gemara Be'iyun, to really go to a good yeshiva and learn how to learn, to really be able to sit down and learn with any Gemara without aids, v'chulei. So now it says like this. The Gemara did sound lemaskono. It sounded as if all you need to do is Torah. And Rashi says even further than that. I didn't read Rashi yesterday. Chumash says Rashi without nach. All you have to know is that he knows Chamisha Chumshe Torah, and even if he doesn't know Nevi'im and Ksuvim, you did your bit. You can tick the box and say, I paid for a tutor, a cheder that teaches my son's Chamisha Chumshe Torah. I hope my son, I imbue him with love of Torah. I hope he'd continue to learn Mishnah, Gemara, Nach, V'chule, Iyun, Briskerov. But says the Shulchan Aruch that clearly it's good and a mitzvah and a very good thing, may not be an obligation, but it's still a very good thing to make sure and pay further and go out of your way to make sure your son knows Chumash, not only Chumash, which is an obligation, but also Mishnah, Gemara, Gemara Be'iyun, Halacha, etc. So if people can pay for the children's tuition and all kinds of other things, they should jolly well pay for their yeshiva studies if they have to, v'chule, v'chule. Make sure your son really gets good grasp on Torah. That is, even if it's not mamash chiyuv, it's a very, very good and important thing to do. Amar B'Yeshua ben Levi. Kol ha'melamed is ben b'noi Torah. Whoever teaches his grandson Torah, malal avakosov, kilu kibla mehar Sinai. Yeah, it's considered as if he received the Torah from Har Sinai. Soon we'll see what it means. Shene'emar, v'yidatem levonecha ulivnei vonecha. You should tell them, inform them to your children and the children of your children, your grandchildren. V'samichlei, and it says right there, right next to it, it says, Yomi asher amadat lifnei Hashem Elokecha b'chorev, the day in which you stood in front of Hashem b'chorev. So when you teach your grandson Torah, that shows you are standing in front of Hashem in Har Sinai, in Mount Sinai. And I saw a very, very, very nice pshat about that in one of the Meforshim of the En Yaakov. En Yaakov says, "Why Dafka grandson? What does it mean like as if I stood by Har Sinai? And if I don't teach my grandson that I didn't stand in Har Sinai, what's the story?" He says, very, very nice. Unfortunately, you have people who study Torah and they don't even believe in Har Sinai. They don't believe in Hashem, maybe. Gemara is a very, very interesting intellectual exercise, right? It's a very interesting thing to learn. So you may be learning Torah, and do you feel like you're in Har Sinai? Well, lav dafka. And maybe a person is not even holding there, not even Be'emunah, which is very sad. You can even teach your son Gemara because it's fun. It's interesting. One guy teaches his son how to play hockey, how to ride horses, how to cheat in card games, and the other one teaches him Talmud because Talmud is interesting. But if you teach something to your grandchild, what does that mean? When you teach your grandchild, that means it's so important for me that I want this to be kept in the family. I want this to be a legacy that I leave behind. That means you're a real believer. Yeah, if you want to make sure my grandson and onwards, they should all have that. I like horseback riding. I don't do it that often. I don't have time or money so much. I like it. I don't really care if my grandson knows how to ride horses or not. I really don't. Yeah. Saying like, who cares? If he wants to, fine, not. But I want him to be a Talmid Chacham. Yeah. In other words, if you really care about it to the level which is generational and eternal, that shows that you really believe that this is something that came from back then all the way to the future. That shows real belief in Mamad Har Sinai. That's the pshat. Now, let's continue. By the way, I just want to tell you one more thing. Halachically, I saw in Shulchan Aruch, there is a chiyuv to teach a grandchild, and it's preferable if you see other people's children, we mentioned that too, ben chaveroi, it also makes sure that people whose fathers don't know how to teach them, you can teach them yourself. It's also a mitzvah. Rabbi Chia bar Abba, story time. Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Ashkechei le Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, same Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. Rabbi Chia bar Abba found Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, the Shadi Disna Areshe, he threw a Disna. Disna is like a small kippah, it's like a kippah. Disna is like the minimal head cover on his head. And he rushed with his son, with his little boy, to shul, to cheder. In other words, he took his son to cheder in the morning, and he wasn't properly dressed. As we said yesterday, what would the Talmidei Chachamim wear, especially the married ones? They would have a double cover. They would have a kippah and some kind of scarf on top of that. Like many people today have a kippah and a hat, right? So he was not dressed properly for Talmid Chacham to go to the shuk without his second layer. Omerle, my kuli hai, what's going on here? Why are you going out to the street not properly dressed? You're not properly lefi kvoidcha. You should have the extra cover. Why are you not wearing your hat? Omerle, mizutar, my dichtiv, is it small? Is it something insignificant? My dichtiv vodatem levonecha. Which means, you know why I'm so rushed? I didn't even manage to get dressed properly. I rushed with my son to cheder, to the asah, to the tender, to the bus. I rushed with my son to cheder. Why? Because it's so important to make sure your son learns Torah. It's like standing in front of Hashem in chorev. So I gave up on my rabbanish attire because I felt that it's very, very important. He shouldn't miss cheder. He should come to cheder on time. And why? Because it's like standing in front of Hashem. Now that doesn't negate what we said before, also about your grandson. Yeah. But by the way, this may have been his grandson too. I don't know. But whoever that was, making sure your son learns Torah is extremely important, even on the price of not going out to the street dressed your best. Mikan ve'elach. Since that event, since that story, Rabbi Chia bar Abba. Now Rabbi Chia bar Abba was the one, right, who was speaking to Rabbi Shiur ben Levi. Rabbi Shiur ben Levi, basically, the one who went just with the kippah, taught Rabbi Chia bar Abba the importance of teaching your children and grandchildren. Mikan ve'elach. From that point onwards, Rabbi Chia bar Abba lotoim umtza ad demakri liunuka umoisfei. Rabbi Chia bar Abba would skip breakfast, would not have his breakfast until he would teach his son the makri v'moisfei, until he would teach his son yesterday's material and moisfei and add more material. What was the breakfast? Umtza. Umtza is like a steak. They would have like South Africans. They would have like, but they wouldn't have a huge one like in South Africa. They have a big steak for breakfast. Right, they would have minute steak. They would have a small one, yeah. Here they would have like small pieces of meat in the morning, and even that he would miss that breakfast, yeah, in order to quickly teach his son first, and then we'll deal with everything else. Okay, Omar of Safra. Oh, this is every word here is obviously a gem. Omar of Safra, first wide line. Omar of Safra Mishum Bishur ben Chananya. My dichtiv v'shinantom levonecha. Let's read the psukim which we say twice a day. We say, what? Vayu advorim ha'ele, asher nechim etzavcha yom al levovecha. What are hadvorim ha'ele? These are the divrei Torah, the chumash. V'shinantom levonecha. What does v'shinantom levonecha mean? You should teach them to your children. What does leshanen mean? To sharpen? No. What? Leshanen? No, not true. Leshanen is to sharpen. You should sharpen them for your children. Make sure your children are sharp. Leshanentem also means to repeat, to review. Leshanen means shani, twice, two. Leshanen means to repeat, to review, to revise. Yeah, like meshanen. Why? Because shnaim, twice. Meshunan also means sharpen, like a tooth. Maybe I have a point. Yeah. In other words, yeah, to sharpen. Oh, the shinantam levanecho. Teach it to your children twice over, and make sure that it's sharp in their minds. However, the Gemara says something else. Besides that, don't say twice, but rather 3 times. What does it mean? It says twice. Why 3 times? There's Rashi, there's the Marsha, says the Pnei Yoshua something very interesting. It says like this. The word Vishinanta means two. Now, we already know that we have the Torah Shebichtav mentioned before, that's Chumash. The Shinantom is coming to add 2 more. You know, the 1 plus 2, I think, is 3. So it's telling you, besides the Torah, which is mentioned, you have 2 more things to learn. What are they? The Gemara will tell us soon. Mishnah and Gemara. Torah, the Shinantom, 2 more. Shnaim, Mishnah. Besides, it says Vishinantom, says Rashi and Marsha. It says Vishinantom. The Marsha says that. It says Vishinat. Lokatu Vishinitem. It doesn't say Vishanitem. Vishinantom is an extra noon. Says Rashi. It doesn't say Vishanitem, which means to repeat twice. Vishinantom is an extra one. Instead of 2, it's 3. So 3. Which 3? As I said, La'olam Yeshalish Odom Shnoisov. Shlish b'mikra, shlish b'mishnah, shlish b'talmud. A person should always divide his years, shnoisov, and make sure 1/3 of your life you study mikra. Now, mikra here doesn't mean only chumash. I saw in the Shulchan Aruch. It means all 24 sfarim. You have to learn novi. People don't learn novi. You have to learn the novi. There are 24 sfarim in the Bible. You have to learn them all. Yeah, when was the last time we learned Chavakuk? You have to learn it, yeah? 1/3 of your life with Mikra, 1/3 of your life Mishnah, 1/3 of your life Talmud. Now, the Maharal says something very interesting. He says, what's Chumash, Mishnah, Gemara? Well, in short, Chumash is telling you, if you just learn Chumash without any Gemara, any Mishnah, any Rashi, and Mefoshim, you have no idea what's going on, right? What's Tomei, what's Tor? But sometimes you have to just have the ideas in your mind. You have to know there is such a thing. Yeah, I don't know what's biotechnology. Biotechnology. I say this word because I want to sound fancy. I don't know what it means. I just know that there's such a thing. Yeah. So you know that there is such a term. Now, Mishnah defines it better. Mishnah tells you that biotechnology means this and that Tuma and Tahara means this and that. You still don't know exactly what it means. You know the dictionary definition. Mishnah is very short and unclear. It's telling you X means 10. And Gemara, Gemara, you really chap what's going on. With Gemara, everything comes to some kind of comprehensive understanding, and now you understand what's Chumash and Mishnah, everything together. And therefore, you should divide your years. So if you're going to live up to 60, then what? Up until the age of 20, you learn only Chumash. The age of 40, only Mishnah. Till the age of 60, you learn only Gemara. Yeah, says the Gemara. That's true. If you live up to 60, how do you know how long you're going to live? You're a prophet. How can you have such a learning plan, right? In other words, yeah, let's say you're starting your life. you know if you'll die at 40, 60, 80, or 100? You don't know. You can predict, but you don't know. And says the Gemara, no, Yomi, you have to divide your days, meaning Rashi says Yomi means take your week, so it's mashma from Rashi, take your week and divide the week to 3. Yeah, Yemei HaShavua, Sunday, Monday, let's say Chumash, Tuesday, Wednesday, Mishnah, Thursday, Friday, Gemara. Okay, Shabbos, everything together. Now, says Tosfos is still unhappy with that. Tosfos says different reasons, because again, you don't know, you may die in the middle of the week. You may die in the middle of Mishnah Day, and you miss the Gemara of that day, of that week. Therefore, says Tosfos that every day you learn Chumash, Mishnah, and Gemara. And that's what says Tosfos. You can look inside, the third Tosfos from the bottom, yeah. I don't know, right? Before we daven, we say Mikra, right? We say the psukim of the, let's say, Korban Tomi, the Kior, and all that. Mishnah, we have the Mishnah of Ezu Mekoiman. The Gemara, yeah, the Rablez, the Medrash, the Abai, also Abai, Mesadov Shmeid, the Ma'arocho, Rabbeinu Tam Pirish, and listen to this very, very, very important list, which is what we do today. And in Soim Chinad Amrinu Sanhedrin, Bovel. How is the Gemara called? Talmud what? Talmud Bavli. Why is Bavli called Talmud Bavli? Because it was written in Babylonia. That's one reason. Nice. There's another reason. Belula b'mikra b'shnu b'gemara. The Gemara's Bavel bolul mikulam. Bavli is like balul. Balul means mixed up, not mixed up in a bad way. It's combined. It's a salad, which means a Talmud Bavli, which is what we learn, is a combination of, well, obviously Gemara, Mishnah, and Chumash, and Novi. When you learn Gemara properly, you get exposure to Chumash ideas. Yeah, we learned some time ago about Seda Achuza, Eved Ivri, Eved Knaini, Yefas Toyar. We wouldn't have known these terms properly. You know it from the Chumash. Here's your Chumash in the Gemara, Mishnah and Gemara. And therefore, I want to say something important, that although this is La Halacha, it says in Halacha that a person has to learn Chumash, Mishnah, and Halacha, and it says Gemara and La Halacha, by the way, La Halacha. You have to learn also how everything comes to, together as one comprehensive body, which is Halacha L'maisa is the result. That's how they learn in good Koilalim. In Koilal, what do they learn? They learn from the Gemara, with all the Rishonim, and Achronim, up until the Halacha. Yeah? Take a subject and learn all the way from the Gemara to Halacha L'maisa. Now, why is it that in yeshivas and in the Jewish world we put more emphasis on Gemara than anything else? That's why, because Gemara combines everything. And also, I saw Mefurash in the Shulchan Aruch himself. He says that at some point in your life you should dedicate more time to Gemara than to Chumash and Mishnah. He says it Mefurash. Yeah. And by the way, if you wonder how much time to learn, he says, Balabatim should spend only 3 hours, the minimum of 3 hours. Let's say you have a 9-hour day that you're awake, more or less, at least 3 hours should be for learning, at least, unless you work and you have no time. But if you have some time, you need to spend at least 3 hours of your day learning. Azoishtet says in Halacha. Weiter. Now let's continue. Lefikach. The word lefikach is misleading. It is not referring to what we said before. It's a quote from a different source. Lefikach, therefore, soon we'll see what therefore means. Lefikach nikil rishonim soifrim. The early people, the people of early times, are called soifrim. Did it ever occur to you that it's very interesting? How do you call a scribe or a writer or an author in Hebrew? A sofer, sofer. And how do you say to count in Hebrew? He counts the sheep. How do you say? Sofer. So to count and to be a sofer is the same word. Why? Why is it that a sofer? Now, Tosfos doesn't say like me, but I'm just saying, yeah, in general, it's interesting. Answers the Gemara, Shayu soifrim kol oisiyos shebatoiro. Yeah, the people of the past, people smarter than us, they would count all the letters of the Torah. Yeah, they would count and they would know how many letters are in the Torah with the importance of each letter. Shayu oimrim, they would say, Vav de gochoin. Yeah, it says in the Torah, gochoin, when it talks about kol hoylech al gochoin, in Chumash Vayikra, which is in the middle of the Torah, etc. is Tom Sheketzem Lochem. When the Torah talks about kashrus, tumah v'tayra, and then also kashrus, it says anything that walks on its gachon like a snake. Gachon is the stomach. Anything that basically slithers on its stomach, yeah, the letter vav of gachon, the letter vav in the middle of the word gachon, that is chetzion shel otiot shel sefer Torah. That's the middle of that's the middle letter of the sefer Torah. Okay, vav gachon. There's all kinds of secrets here which I don't understand. The Maharsha says all these things have to do in Tumah and Tara. Maharsha says half the Torah is about Tara and half the Torah is about Tumah, whatever that means. Yeah, maybe if you learn Torah the wrong way, you become worse. They say, whatever. Torah is half Torah and half Tumah or against Tumah. So Vav, the Gochoin, the middle of the stomach, the pupik of the so to speak of the snake, that is the middle of the Torah. Dorosh Dorash. He talks about another place in the Ikra about Moshe Rabbeinu that was upset with Aaron's children. Yeah, that they burnt the chatas. They burnt one chatas, they ate the other one. Dorash, chetzian shel tevois. The word dorash, yeah, is half of the tevos, is the middle letter, word. The middle word, if you count the words of the Torah. V'hisgalach, the word v'hisgalach about the Nazir, that's misgaleach, excuse me, not the Nazir, the Metzoira, excuse me. The Metzoira that has to shave his entire body, v'hisgalach shel psukim. That's the pasuk, the verse, the pasuk that's in the middle of the Torah. Now we talk about Tehillim. Yeah, Tehillim is the sefer of Tefillah. Chamisha Chumsha Torah that exemplifies Torah, and Tehillim is a crown of Tefillah. So Yichar Samena Chazir Miyar, Ain, the Yar, the letter Ain in the middle of Ya'ar, forest, Chetzion Shel Tehillim, is the middle of Tehillim. Again, interesting, we see something Tomeh, Chazir, Yar, it alludes to Esav, all the Tomeh people, Ya'ar, the Ain of the Yar is the middle of the Tehillim. Like in the middle of the Kedusha, somehow, you have the Tumah, whatever that means. Also in Tehillim, Chetzir the Psukim. That's the middle pasuk of Tehillim. By Rav Yosef, having said that, Rav Yosef is asking a question: Vav de Gochon mehai gisa or mehai gisa? In other words, assuming that the Torah has even amount of letters, you don't have a middle letter. Is a vav of Gochon from one side or the other side? Does it belong to the first half or the second half of the Torah? Omar lei, and they say that Abaye, there's a Girser Abaye, says Abaye, Rav Yosef's loyal Talmud Abaye answered to Rav Yosef, and he said, Neiti Sefer Torah v'minu. What's the problem, Rabbi? Bring a Sefer Torah and start counting. We're not lazy. We're not 2,024 people. Abaye and Rav Yosef could take a Sefer Torah and count. Yeah, v'minu. Milo Omar Rabba Bar Bar Chana. Didn't Rabba Bar Bar Chana tell us, Lo zozu misham ad shaviu Sefer Torah? No. Rabbi Bar Bar Chana told us in Masechet Shabbos in Daf Memtes, I think, it says they brought Sefer Torah and they counted, they literally, as I told you, they would count the letters, count the words. Let's do the same. Why can't we do the same? And then we'll figure out if Gochon is this and Gochon is that. Yeah, yeah. Says the answers of Yosef. We're not as good as them. Omerle, he told him, Inhu they beki bechaseros ve'eseros. They knew ksiv choser ksiv molech. Yeah, when they counted the Torah, they knew which word should have the full writing and which one shouldn't. Which means, as you know, in Hebrew, there are two ways to write almost every word. Yeah, the word Isha, let's say, woman, Aleph Shin Hey, without Yud, and there's a dot under the Aleph. The vowel is not written, it's represented by a dot. Or you can write Isha, Aleph Yud Shin Hey. Yeah, full inscription, full writing. The Yud is actually written, the vowel is written. Yeah, when they teach you Hebrew for English speakers, right? What do they say? That Hebrew is a language that has no vowels. Nonsense. It's not true. Of course, Hebrew has vowels, and sometimes they are written in the text, right? It's not the language without vowels. Yeah. So that's Elamai. You have different ways of writing, with or without the Yud. Or we had it some time ago. The Bigdoi Bo. Remember when we spoke about Shifcha, about the Amo Ivriya, Bigdoi means Bigdoi his clothes, or Bigdoi betrayal. Depends if it's Ksiv Molech, Ksiv Choser. So we, Anan Loi Beki'inan, we are not as proficient as they meaning we can get one letter wrong, which as much as we said that the Torah, every letter we have is a letter that's from Moshe Rabbeinu, you could have a mistake. Maybe we have our Sefer Torah with an extra letter. Maybe we can have an extra letter, Yud somewhere, so I don't rely on what we have to be 100% true. The Torah is always true. Maybe we have an extra Yud, or maybe we're missing a Yud. And therefore, I still am not 100% sure that the Vav of Gochoin, the way we have it, is really the right counting. By Rav Yosef comes another question. Hisgalach. Again, the Hisgalach we said, the word Hisgalach talks about the Mitzoiro that shaves his entire body. What do we say about Hisgalach? That's the middle posuk. Ma'agisa or Ma'agisa is that middle posuk. What do you mean middle? Does it belong to the first half or the second half of the Torah? Psukim yalesu, psukim miha, right? At least psukim, we know how to read psukim. We know where to stop and start the psukim. Leisu limnuye bepsuk, leisu limnuye. Psukim at least bring and limnuye. Leisu bring them and we'll count them. And so the Gemara, no, bepsukinami lo b'kinan. Even when it comes to psukim, to sentences in the Torah, even that we're not 1,000,000% sure that the psukim we have are the psukim the way it was divided, to psukim by Moshe Rabbeinu. When Ravacha bar Ada came, he said, he came from Eretz Yisrael to Bovel, and he said, in Eretz Yisrael, Paskil l'haikro l'tlos psuki. This pasuk, which we have as one pasuk, in Eretz Yisrael, they divided to three. So maybe we don't have it right. Which pasuk is this? Hashem told Moshe, I'm coming to you, be'av ha'onon, Matan Torah, I'm coming to you in the cloud, in the thickness of the cloud. So we're not sure even about psukim. Tonu Rabbanon, how many psukim are there in the Torah? And of course, there are questions here about if this is what we have today. Tonu Rabbanon, 5,888 psukim, avu psuki Sefer Torah. The Sefer Torah, you know how many psukim are in the Sefer Torah as much as we know, as far as we know, 5,888. You can start counting from now till Sunday. That's the next year. You will say, yes, no. There are questions. That we're showing him. No, different number. 5,888. It's all the Malim Nateva, 888. Okay. Yeser all of Tehillim, Shmoina. Tehillim has more than the Torah, 8 more than the Torah. And Choser Mimenu Divrei Yomim Shmoina. Divrei Yomim is the same amount of psukim minus 8. Okay, I take it as a fact. I'm sure there are many, all kinds of deeper levels here of depth. You're welcome to explore it. I didn't see much on it. Tonu Rabbanon. Veshinantom. Here comes the drosha, as we said it before. Maseches Kiddushin Daf Lamed Amud Aleph, in the penultimate line, the second to last line. Tonu Rabbanon. Veshinantom. What's Veshinantom? So we said Shinantom means what? 3 times. And what? Chumash, Mishnah, and Gemara. Don't tell me learn Chumash and that's it. Don't tell me Mishnah and that's it. There's no such thing. A person only learns Mishnah and he paskins by Mishnah. It says very bad things about him. You have to learn Gemara. Says the Gemara more. The Torah has to be sharp in your mouth. What does that mean? If a person asks you, where's this Gemara? What's the halacha? Don't be megamgem, don't stutter, don't stammer, don't hesitate. And then tell him, miyad. You should be able to draw right away, give him the quick, fiery answer. Shenemar, right? As it says, and I want to read Rashi afterwards. It says in Mishlei, tell the Chochma you're my sister, which means, just like you know that your sister you cannot marry, everybody knows they're not allowed to marry their sister. Every part of Torah you should aim towards having such clarity in Torah. If somebody asks you some complicated question in halacha, in anything, in Gemara, you should be able to give him a quick and clear answer, as much as the chokhmah, as much as you know that your sister you can't marry. What's moida labina tikra? The bina, the deeper chokhmah, should be your moda. Moda meaning your friend. You should be friendly and acquainted with the Chokhmah of Torah. Interesting, you know how Rashi defines Vishinanto to be sharp in Torah? Rashi says something important. Chazoy aleihem ubdoik beoimkom. Rashi doesn't say, sometimes people talk so much about chazor, chazor, chazor. Rashi says, b'doik be'oimkom. It's not enough to just repeat and review like a chamor noises for him, like a robot. You have to know what it means. You have to understand the depth. So you have to go deep and you have to revise. Wow. You really have to work hard to know your Torah by revision and depth, because otherwise you're going to get the wrong answer, right? Somebody, I see, I mean, whatever, myself included, if you don't learn well enough, we can come to the wrong conclusions. So you have to learn well and revise, so you'd be able to be in the matzav of being, quick on the draw. Toisus asks a question here. Toisus asks, I'm not reading inside, it says in the Gemara, which we saw in Dov Metzia, one of the three things that Talmud Chacham is about to lie, is allowed to lie about, is if people ask him, did you learn this Masechta? So out of humility, he should be able to say, no, I didn't learn it. I didn't learn this Masechta. In other words, don't show off. So here we see, no. Here we see that if people ask you, yeah, go for the quiz. Yeah, go and show your knowledge. Says, no, it's not a stira. When you're not asked the halacha, or when you're not asked to teach or advise, and keep quiet. People talk at the table and they talk about Maseches Chagiga. And you know Chagiga very well. There's no reason for you to interrupt. They're not going to know you're a Chagiga master. Better for you, Mora Nova. You don't have to show that you know Chagiga. But if people ask you, Halacha L'maisa, do I have to bring this korban and that korban Chagiga on the Pesach on Sukkot? It's Halacha L'maisa. Then you have to give a quick answer. You have to be at the level of knowledge that you're able to give the right and quick answer. The Oimer, continue the Gemara now. The Oimer, now few more psukim to tell us how immersed we have to be in Torah and how clear we have to be in Torah. It says, Koshem alitzboisecha, kosvem aluach libecha. Yeah, you should tie them, koshem, tie them on your fingers and write them on the board of your heart. What does it mean? Koshem alitzboisecha, koshem pshat, you should have it part of your body. Just like you have a glove on your hand, the Torah should be like a glove to your hand and written on your heart. The Maharsha says something very nice. The Maharsha says, everything Maharsha says is nice, yeah? When somebody knows something very well, let's say there's a social code. Yeah, when I go like this, we all know what that means. If I go like this, we all know what that means, right? If you live in the Western world, you know that, right? And if you go this, we know. And if you're an Israeli, you know that means. And if you're American living, right? Otherwise, you don't know. In other words, some things are so clear to you, or like when you go like this, some things are so clear to you that just by the gesture and motion of the hand, you already know. That should be your level of Torah. Maseches Gittin Daf Lamed Zayin Aleph so well, you just go like this and you already know it. Yeah, your level of knowledge should be so proficient, so quick in the knowledge of Torah, just like a person who goes like this and he knows it means very good. That's what the Maharsha says. Kisher malitzbosecha. Have it on your in English. Have it on your fingertips. Oh, you see, they took it from here. The Oimer, another pasuk that tells you how quick and sharp you have to be. Like the arrows in the hand of the mighty one, of the hero, so too are the bnei haneurim, the youth. Says Rashi, bnei haneurim are your talmidim. Your talmidim, if you're a master, if you're a teacher, your talmidim have to be as sharp as arrows. Make sure your talmidim, bnei haneurim, bonim, talmidim are called bonim, many places. The person's talmidim are called his children. And therefore, when you teach them, make sure they're as sharp as an arrow. The oimer chitze gibor shnunim. Oh, here it says mefurash. The chitzim of the mighty one are shanun. They're sharp. The oimer, and it says chitzecha shnunim amim tachtecha yipoilu. You want to know how we can kill Sinwar? Do you know how we can beat Iran? Here it says, right over here. Let the Ramatkal, the main general, listen to the Gemara. Chitzecha shnunim. Amim tachtecha yipoilu. You have to get clearer. Your chitzim are sharp. If you know Torah very well and very sharp, you sit and learn very well. Amim tachtecha yipoilu. All the other nations will fall in front of you. They'll fall under you like flies. That's what's going to be. The oimer, ashra gever asher mile es ashposoi mehem it says the continuation of the same pasuk. Happy is the man shamilas ashpasoi mehem loivosh. No, full stop for now. Now, ashpa means a few things. Ashpa also means a quiver, which means that happy is the man that fills his quiver with what? With those sharp arrows. Says the Maharsha, oh, that's the Rebbe. The Rebbe that has many sharp Talmidim, how good it is for him that he really has sharp Talmidim. He can fill his ashpa with them, his quiver, the stack, the special thing for the arrows, he fills with them. Now listen to this. You won't believe me. You won't believe me, but the Maharsha says another pshat. What's the matter? What's ashpa in regular Hebrew? Garbage. Ashpa. Oh, listen to this. Unbelievable. Says the Maharsha, if the Maharsha wouldn't have said it, I wouldn't have said it. Says the Maharsha, happy is the man that fills his house with garbage. Meaning, what does that mean? He says, I guess he had his agenda in his times, and yeah, every door has his issues. He says some people don't want to have bochrim learning in their house. You know, back then there were no dorms in yeshivas. Yeah, a yeshiva bocher would live in someone's house. You'd have a boy or two, and they would sit and learn in someone's house, and a balabos. They said, some balabatim don't allow the bochrim to learn in their homes because they live mess. Bochrim are bochrim, yeshiva bochrim. They live mess around. They leave some garbage. They leave the wrapping of the bamba, whatever. So we say, my house is my castle. I don't want the sound of Torah in my house because when they leave, then my Chinese vase is a little bit, fingertips or fingerprints. I don't like it. So let them learn out of my house. He says, no. Asher gever shamilas ashposim. Happy is the man that fills his house, even if it means there's a bit of garbage here and there. Take it with love. Your house is full of Torah. What can be better than that? So you clean after them. So that's what the Maharsha says. Lo yavoishu ki yedabru es oivim bashar. They will not be ashamed because yedabru doesn't mean necessarily to talk. Yedabru also means to win over. Yad beramim tachtenu. Their control over the enemies bashar. Again, if you learn Torah again and again, it's the same message. Yedabru es oivim bashar. Yeah, they control. They have the stronghold over the enemies that come to the gate. However, here comes another drosha. Mai is oivim bashar. What does it mean when we say the enemies in the gate? Omar comes another drosha. Excuse me. Omar b'chia baraba. Afilu avu b'noi. Even a father and a son. Rav talmidoi. A Rav and a Rebbe and a Talmid. Yeah, a master and a disciple. She'oiskin b'torah b'shar echod. They are learning Torah together in one gate, in one place, in one inyan. Yeah, they learn together. Nasim oivim zeh zeh. They become enemies to each other. Why do they become enemies when they learn? Says Rashi, makshim zeh lezeh ve'ein zeh mekabel divrei zeh. They fight in learning. Have you ever seen good yeshiva bachrim that really fight in learning? They fight. They fight milchamta shel Torah. Each one gets a different pshat, and he's angry with the other one for not getting the right pshat. They will not go away from there until they clarify the issue, and they will become oyavim. They will become good friends and loving towards each other. How do you know? Shenemar es vohev besufa. It says vohev besufa. Originally in the Torah means the name of a place, and sufa means a storm. Atikir besufa ela besoifa. Vohev besoifa. Vohev is like ahava. At the end, basof yesh ahava. At the end, there is love. Vahev basoifa. In other words, there's a lot of storm, a lot of argument, but at the end, basoifa, at the end of the argument, there will be a lot of love because they'll understand, they'll come to understand each other's point of view, and this happens by learning Torah. At the beginning, you fight and you argue, and then you get the right picture. Mi bein shneim, if you learn l'shem shamayim, between the two chavrusas, you're going to get the right shot and mutual love. Tonu Rabbanon, let me ask you a question. What is, I just heard a shiur yesterday, and every once in a while you hear all kinds of interesting shiurim and ideas and psychology and self-help and all kinds of interesting ideas. How to conquer the Yetzer Hara. How to win over the Yetzer Hara. No, you have good advice. What to do, not to have a smartphone. What? Bakshish, moshcheu. You mean to say to learn Torah? Let's see. Yeah, all kinds of interesting advice. Have aspirations. Stay away from here. Look what the Gemara has to say. Tanu Rabbanon. The Samton. Yeah, It says in the Torah, V'samtam, about Torah, V'samtem is the right Eile. Yeah, you should place my words. What's V'samtam? The Gemara now is a drosha. The Gemara divides the word into two. Sam, tam. Samtam, sam is a medication, and tam is complete. This is a complete magic, yeah, overall catch-all medication. The Torah is a medication for everything, it's a remedy for everything. Nimshal Torah kesam chaim. The Torah is compared to the elixir, to the good, what? Elixir? Okay. Elixir to Alexi. Yeah, of kesam chaim. Mashal le'odam sheikas b'noi makek doilo. A person smacked his son, a big smack. I guess he deserved it, and he was under bar mitzvah. Yeah, he gave him a big, he spanked him hard. Then the father, yeah, he doesn't really hate his son. He placed him a bandage with some kind of medication, the ointment, on the wound. He told his son, Bni, my son, as long as this bandage is on your makkah, is on your wound, you're okay. Nothing bad is going to happen to you. Eat whatever you feel like. Drink whatever you feel like. Says Rashi, even sweet things. Rashi says even sweet things that are not good for the makkah. I remember I fell a few times. I was in a tiyul and I fell a few times and had bruises because I fell when I was walking, and I had a no sugar diet, and it disappeared much earlier than expected. Yeah, it's true. If you don't have sugar, it's much better for your blood and so the makkahs go away quicker. So, but if you have that magic medication, you can even eat sweet things, drink Coke, which is garbage. You can wash yourself with hot water, cold water. You shouldn't fear. Nothing bad's going to happen. As long as you have that magic patch, you have like a special patch on your body, magic. Nothing bad's going to happen. But if you remove that patch, it's going to start growing all kinds of, Rashi says, like a fungus. Fungi. Rashi says tzmochim, plants. I don't think it means plants. Probably means like fungus, like all kinds of inflammation. In other words, what's a nimshal? Yes, so that magic medication, yeah, works against everything and would always be good for your makkah. What's a nimshal? Kacha Kadosh Baruch Hu Omer Yisrael, first wide line. Kadosh Baruch Hu tells Klal Yisrael, Bonai, Boroti Yetzer Hara, famous. Boroti Yetzer Hara, Borosi Lo Torah Tavlin. I'm the one who created the Yetzer Hara. Just like the father smacked his child, Hashem smacks us. You know Hashem smacks us? He gave us Yetzer Hara. Yeah, I created the Yetzer Hara, so I know what's a remedy. So what are you going for all these self-help books? It says, Baratu Torah Tavlin. The Tavlin against Yetzer Hara is Torah. I created the problem. I created the solution. If you're oisik b'Torah, we're going to explain what that means soon. If you deal and you delve in Torah, you will not be given into his hands. You will not be under him. You will not be won over by him. Shenema, it says by Cain, Elohim Teitiv says, if you are Tov, and Tov Elo Torah, says Rashi, Lekach Tov, if you do the good thing, you know the Gemara says in Brochus Daf Amud Aleph, Ein Tov Elo Torah. The only good thing in the world is Torah. All other good things are derivatives of that. But the only good things is the Torah. Says Rashi says, Tisnase al Yitzerecha. Wow. Heard that? It's a lot of psychology here. Im Teitiv says, if you will be engrossed in Torah, you'll be menuseh, you'll be above. What does it mean when we tell Hashem, Melech Ram v'Nisa? Tell me, you daven, right? What's Kel Melech Ram v'Nisa? What's Nisa? Superior, uplifted, above. You'll be above Yetzer Hara. When you learn Torah, you don't want all the nonsense. All the nonsense that you think about are nothing when you learn Torah. But if you stop being oisik b'Torah, then you'll quickly, be captured by him. You'll be given into his hands. It says, in other words, he's looking for an opening, for a door. For those times you don't learn Torah, the petach, he's crouching. He crouches there, he's ambushing you, and he's looking. And the second you are removed from Torah, you're not into Torah, He wants to jump in like a lion. Now, v'lo oid, I have something to ask here. I have a question, but soon I'm waiting with my question. V'lo oid, not only that, ela shekol masov matone b'cho. Kol masoi v'matone b'cho. His entire business is just about you. The Yitzhar has one thing in mind, and that is to make you sin. That's his job, right? Different companies nowadays employ many, many different people. You are in charge of what? Manpower. You're in charge of this specific kind of manpower, very specific job. That's all you do here all day long, right? You're in charge of electricity in the company, only electricity, nothing else. That's all you care about. Every day is going to buy new light bulbs, even if you don't need them. Yeah. The only job of the Yetzer Har's job description by Hashem, when Hashem accepted Yetzer Har to work, in the work interview, it says job description, make sure that Reuven sins. Make sure that Shimon sins. That's his only job. That's all he cares about. And he is a terrific worker. Shenema, it says, Veilechot shukosoi. His desire is to you. His entire desire is like an attraction, is to you to make you sin. So make sure you have to fight him. There's no other way. You can't just lay idle. You can't just let it happen. He'll catch you. But if you want, if you want, you can control him. And again, Rashi says, Rashi doesn't give up. Rashi says, how can you control the Yitzhar by learning Torah? Let me ask you a question, which I think some people would ask, so I'm one-upping you. We see Talmidei Chachamim that are crooks. And we see people who learn Torah, and you catch them all of a sudden with a goiter or all these horrible stories. So it doesn't say learn. The answer is, it doesn't say to learn Torah. It says oisik b'Torah. To learn Torah, and sometimes people that have bad midos, they can learn Torah. They learn Torah for enjoyment. They learn Torah like they learn Chinese or Icelandic philosophy, or I don't know, the geology of Papua New Guinea. Yeah, they learn Torah, but they make sure subconsciously or consciously that the kedusha doesn't enter their heart. They have like a shield against the real Torah to come in. Oh, that's not called asik Torah, it's limud Torah. If you notice, asik Torah is the verb that's mentioned here. La'asoik means to deal with, just like a businessman who's a good businessman. He loves his business. He has a business to sell yoga mats. He loves the yoga mats. He loves to import them from China and sell them to people in Italy. In love with the yoga mats, in love with money, in love with whatever it has to do. He's oisek there. He has no marriage life. He doesn't have Torah life. All his life, that's oisek. He's a businessman. What I'm saying is a Chaim Volozhin. If you learn Torah and that's your business, that's your vocation and your profession, your everything, that is the secure way to make sure that you are out of the Yetzer Har's realm. That's the idea. Oisik b'Torah. Yeah, that's the answer. But if you're not Oisik b'Torah, if you learn the Torah lackadaisically, then Enechnam, it says in Shabbos, Daf Samech Gimel, it says it's even worse. Yeah? Either there or it's two similar Gemaras, one in Samech Gimel or somewhere else. It says, the Maiminim ba Arichus Yomim Lamasmilim Oisher Vakovad. If you learn Torah with your right hand, it gives you a real connection to Hashem. But if you learn the Torah with your left hand, assuming you're a righty, if I write with my left hand, it won't come out nicely. Or if I cook with my left hand, even if I cook with my right hand, it's not so good, let alone my left hand. So if you learn Torah with your left hand, you learn Torah as you sort of like, sleep over the Gemara a little bit, here, there, whenever I can, a little bit in the train, half a word, half a thing. That's not Esek Torah. It would get you even worse. It can even get you worse than before because you again get half the picture and it's not good. Esek Torah is when you mamish into it with all your heart. Tanu Rabbanon. More about Mr. Yetzer Hara. Tanu Rabbanon. Choshe Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara is hard. Even the one who created it called him a bad one. Shenemar, look what Hashem says about the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer of the person is Ra right from the beginning of his life. Says the Yetzer Hara. That's what Yetzer Hara says. Says the Maharsha. What's the Chiddush? What are we saying here? Says the Maharsha, usually when somebody produces something, manufactures something, he's proud of it. He says that's a good product. Sometimes he's saying the truth, sometimes he's lying. But you never see people who actually manufacture something, create it, and they say that's a bad piece, unless fishing for compliments. But if they want to sell it to you, they won't say it's bad. They say it's good. Yetzer Hara is unique. It's created by Hashem, and Hashem himself told you that's a bad one. Now, the Maharsha says even more. He says that, and that's a very deep nakuda. Many times people say, and it's interesting because it's partially true, the Yetzer Hara himself, they say, is a good guy. Why? He's doing Ratzon Hashem. Right? The Yetzer Hara is a messenger from Hashem. So Yetzer Hara is good. Says the Maharsha, that's not true. Although it's created by Hashem, the Yetzer Hara, but because the Gemara in Bava Basra Tisdain says, I think it's Tisdain, Tisvav base, it says, Hu Yetzer Hara, who a Satan, who Malach Hamovis. Not sure by that order. Yetzer Hara is a Satan, it's a Satan, it's angel of death, which means although Yetzer Hara was created by Hashem for generally a good purpose to test us, but Yetzer Hara, it's as if he has independent being, Ki'ilu, Kivyachol, and he really wants you to sin. Yeah, he's not saying, in other words, I would give you an afkamina. Once you sin because you listen to the Yetzer Hara, you won't say, shucks, I'm so upset. No, he'll be happy. The Yetzer Hara is really against you doing Torah mitzvahs. Is created by Hashem. Hashem gave him permission to have his own realm, his own kingdom of Ra, under the permission of Hashem. That's one of the differences between Judaism and Christianity, and I'm not laughing for a change because I spoke to Christian people, and they believe that the Satan rebelled against Hashem, whatever they mean when they say Hashem, yeah, rebelled against God, and now he has his own thing. Not yeah, they say that. I've spoke to a few people. They say maybe different types of Christians. I don't know. I'm not such a theologist, but we don't believe in that. Everything is under Hashem. Everything is Hashem. Obviously, you can't say the Ra has completely its own set of rules and its own independent being. Everything depends on Hashem. Yet Hashem allowed a hole, kivyachol, in the creation called Ra, a black hole, and that Ra really wants you to do bad, and it's really bad. Yeah, and that's why we have to be very, very careful. Okay, question time. You second. Yeah, you was before. I'm listening. Absolutely, 1,000,000%. Thank you for reminding us. 1,000,000%. Oh, the entire existence of the world is for Bchira Chofshis. The reason Hashem created Yetzer Hara, which is up to a point independent, seemingly, is because the whole world was created, so we should discover Hashem in spite of the Yetzer Hara. If not for the challenge, there's no game without a challenge, right? That's the whole idea. The whole game of this world, the whole purpose is for Bchira Chofshis, and that's why you need a strong Yetzer Hara. You need a strong fighter against you. 1,000,000%. Thank you. Yes. Story break. There was, a lot of stories have been going with Nisim and Niflois in the war, the one who kept Shemitah, the one who kept Shabbos. So this story, I did not hear from the first person, but I know exactly who said it to who. My wife said it to me. She heard it from her cousin Kirat Sefer, who heard it from her husband. So who heard it, Bekitzer, one more person from the mikveh attendant in the Kirat. No, but we know each one. From the mikveh lady in Kirat Sefer, the Heilige fully Haredi Kirat Sefer. So two women came to, or one woman came recently to the mikveh in Kiryat Sefer, completely Chiloni, and she was evacuated from her house in the south. And she said that from her kibbutz, the only people whose entire family was saved, yeah, I don't know, entire cousins or just mother, father, and children, from that kibbutz, the only two women whose family was completely saved, unharmed, nobody died from the whole Nicholas family, are the only two women in the kibbutz who keep Taras HaMishpocha. So now she doesn't have it there, so she went to the mikveh in Kiryat Sefer because right now it's geographically closer to her, and she knows it for sure. They know each other. The two ladies are the only ones who keep Taras HaMishpacha. So you have ladies in kibbutz. They're not from. They don't keep Shabbos. Maybe I don't know. They're not. Yeah, and they keep Taras HaMishpacha. So yeah, so there is awareness up to a point, and this is a beautiful story. I'm saying, obviously, I feel bad for the other ones, but yeah. So yeah, next and yeah. Okay, weiter. Okay. Omar Vitzchak, says Rav Yitzchak, Yitzro shel Odom is chadish olav b'chol yoim. The Yetzer Hara is fresh and anew. He rejuvenates every day. Shenema rak kol hayoim. Every day, every moment, the Yitzhar, you beat him one time, boom, he's like a jumping jack. He always keeps, like a boxer in the ring. You think that he's dead. No, he re-jumps from the end of the ring and punches your face. Vomer Rab Shimon ben Levi, Yitzhar shel Odom misgaber olav b'chol yom. In other words, not only is renewed, he's also conceptually stronger than you. Every day becomes stronger. Mevakesh amiso, and he wants to kill you spiritually. Shenemar tzoifer rosho latzadik mevakesh la'amitoy. The rosho is watching again, like ambushing the tzaddik, and you're a tzaddik who wants to kill you. So how can we fight against Yetzirah? He's so fresh, so new, and so new tricks every second, new devices, new ideas, new things. If not for Hashem's help, you wouldn't be able to fight the Yetzer Hara. Shenemar, it says in the same pasuk, Elokim lo yazvenu beyodoi. Hashem will not leave you in His hand, which means you have to do two things to fight the Yetzer Hara: learn Torah as much as you can in quality and quantity, and daven to Hashem. You have to daven to Hashem to help you. Slach lanu avinu, shivenu avinu, v'chulei. Bring our heart closer to you. That's the way. Daven to Hashem. I can't do this alone against Yetzer Hara. How can I? I need help from you because you're stronger than the Yetzer Hara. One last line, and that's it for today. Tana Dever Bishmoel, famous line. Bni, my son, if that despicable one, if he comes and he meets you, he attacks you, the Yetzer Hara, moshcher lebes hamedrash, like Shlomo said, pull him to the bes medrash. What does it mean, pull him to the bes medrash? Bring him to your home field. Where you're learning, everybody knows, I heard in sports, when a team plays in the foreign place, it's much harder because all the fans are in the other place, right? Right? Mashenka, in your home run, no home run, even home run, your hometown, in your home field, you're much more secure. It's your own place, your own field. Bring him to your place, bring him to your realm, to your turf. What's going to happen once in the Bes Medrash? Im evenhu nimoyach. If the Yetzer Hara is as hard as a stone, he will dissolve. The imbarzelu mispoitzet. If the Yetzer Hara is like iron, it will just burst completely. Shneimar alokodrai ke'esh neum Hashem ukepatish shefoitzet sela. How do you know that the Yetzer Hara can be beaten by fire? Because Torah is like fire. You put the barzel in the patish shefoitzet sela. Basically, if it's not so clear, because if you put iron in the fire, it's going to melt. But here it says, my words are like fire, like the hammer that's mefotzetz, that basically causes to burst, explode the sela. Im evenhu nimoyach, and if it's stone, it's going to dissolve. Shenemar hoy kol tzamel chulamayim. Anyone who's thirsty should go to the water. And ma'amel Torah. In other words, Torah is like fire that can even burst something that's metal. Yeah, it's true. Today we see it, right? I don't know, bullets or something like a big bomb can definitely cause how do you call it? Can bomb even a metal thing. And the Torah is also like water that can actually, the water can dissolve the stones, like in the story of Rabbi Akiva. Says the Maharsha, there are two types of Yetzer Hara, Even and Barzel. The Even is the physical one. Even is like the physical Yetzer Hara, and Mayim has to do more with Pritzis and Taivas. Mayim is Yetzer Hara of Taiva. The water of Torah would work against your natural desire for lust, for carnal desires, for food. And the Barzel is the soul. The soul is stronger than the body, like the iron. And for that, you need the fire of Torah. Fire is more spiritual than water. Fire always goes up. Fire is an energy. Fire is like Gaiva. You have Gaiva of Barzel, the spiritual side, my Gaiva, my dignity, that the Yetzer Hara makes me feel too arrogant. The fire of Torah will take care of that. Atzlacha ubracha, may we always be connected to Torah. And Imer Hashem on Sunday, we're going to learn the other obligations of the Father towards the Son. Thank you so much. May we always be deep in Torah and fight our own Yetzer Hara and fight the Goyim with the power of Torah. Hatzlacha ubracha. Have an amazing Shabbos. Hatzlacha ubracha.